All right. Well, here we are another week, episode 10 of the High Octane Dads
Hmm.
podcast, ready to get rolling here. You good to go, Chris?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Awesome. I think today we're going to be talking about LS Fest. It's we'll probably release a few more episodes before we're headed out, but it's not too far away.
Oh no.
First week of September.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, pretty
A little
excited.
stressed. I have a lot to do, but excited.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, like all the stuff you've got on your list. Mine is a lot shorter this year. I'm going to say, like, little bummed to not be bringing my car, but that was the plan all along, was just for me to be
Mhm.
coming up and doing photography. So, again, your list is a lot longer than my list. Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a bit. I just, I'm excited to get up there and see you guys again. Steve, Kevin, I know Mark and Josh both aren't coming this year. I think Daniel, the guy with the Caprice, I think he said he wasn't going to be able to make it this year. So a
Yeah,
little bit
he's
lighter
get, I think he
crew.
said he- yeah, I think he said he's getting married too.
Yeah,
Dang.
man. What is it with people getting married the weekend of LS Fest? Like, how
Oh,
selfish do you have to be?
yeah, right.
I need these guys to, when they're making big life decisions, like, they need to consult us and the
Hmm.
calendar, make sure.
Yeah, I agree.
No, congrats to them. I mean, it's awesome. I know. I think Mark's getting married at another racetrack, so at least he'll be doing
Yeah,
something car related that weekend.
yeah, that's cool.
But who knows? Maybe somebody will decide to get married at LS Fest, like Vegas. What happens at LS Fest stays at
Yeah.
LS Fest.
So Alex and Miranda that I convoyed up with last year, they got engaged last year at LS Fest
No kidding.
on Sunday though.
Okay.
And so, I had already left. But yeah, the he's got pictures of it. He had told somebody, and they went up to go take a picture of his car in front of the LS Fest banner, and then he did it right there, and they got all the pictures. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. Hell, if they'll send them to me, I'll put them up on the video
Yeah.
when I get to editing it. But yeah, that's awesome, man. That's definitely a memory to
Oh
have.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're doing Grand Champion, right? So you've got to get there Thursday night and actually make passes, right? So they're changing up a little bit this year.
Yeah. So in the past, for what I understood, for the grand champion, you'll do autocross and drag race. And so in the past, I think they kind of did all the drag racing on Saturday along with everything else. And as you know, Saturday is slam there.
It's crazy.
And yeah, and all the drag racers get pissed off. The hardcore drag racers get pissed off at the grand champion people because they come through and tear up the track with their street tires, and but it blocks them up for like 2 or 3 hours or whatever, which I get because it makes a giant mess because they're all in there just making laps. But this year they decided to change it up, and so all the drag racing competition for grand champion is on Thursday night. So I have to get there a little bit earlier on Thursday, and I have to register, have my car teched in, and the racing starts I think at 4:30, from like 4:30 to 7:30 that night. So I'm not sure how many passes I'm supposed to do, or if I can just run whatever and then be like, all right, peace, I'm going to get margaritas.
Yeah, well, I was going to tell you I'm torn because as your buddy and the group photographer that's coming this year, I want to
Yeah,
get some photos of you on the track.
yeah,
But Thursday night's margarita night at
yeah.
LS Fest.
So
So
yeah,
I don't
so
know.
I'm hoping to get out a little bit early. I'm hoping that, like, well, last year they were there. I'm not sure what time they all went to the restaurant last year, but I know I got there, it was late.
Yeah,
But
we got there even after you because yeah,
yeah,
everybody was pretty much heading out by the time we came in and sat down and we ate and had a beer and left. But this year I'm gonna with Dad not being here. And I don't have anybody that's going to go with me. I think I'm gonna get up early, get ready to head out. There's a group here that leaves out kind of right after you drop your kids off at school and hit the road. And I think
yeah,
I'm going to just convoy up with them. And since I'm not hauling a car this year, I'll actually be able to keep up with them. I think I lost them in the mountains somewhere around Nashville or something last year. Yeah, so I'm going to convoy up with them and find a good audio book on the way there
yeah,
and listen to
yeah.
it. Um,
Hey, or you'll have plenty of episodes of High Octane Dads to listen to.
yeah. Oh yeah. I've only listened to all of them at least twice.
Yeah,
Might as well get a few more in.
yeah, absolutely.
But so I want to mention our shirts only because you've got one on that I wish
Yeah.
I had had an opportunity to get, because, obviously that car is super cool, but that's also from the episode they did with the folks I mentioned last week that I've always loved their YouTube channel, Mighty Car Mods, right? So those guys are definitely just some true blue car guys that, even the old weird stuff, they like to work on it and just
Oh yeah.
build things. And that's very much, what Roadkill has been, except more, on the domestic American side of things. So you got that shirt. That's pretty awesome. I got my third gen Motion Raceworks shirt that the minute they put these out there, I was like, yep, got to have one of those.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So I was thinking about that a little bit ago. I was going through my dresser and I'm like, man, I've got so many t-shirts. Like I'll go through spells like this one, and I've got a bunch of the Freiburger and Finnegan shirts. And I would go through spells where like I'm like, man, I only wear these 5 or 6 shirts and I'm not getting rid of anything else.
yeah.
But then like the last year, my rotation has been LS Fest shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I bought one of every one they had last year that I didn't have already.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just kind of rotate them.
Well, so the year that I was supposed to go the first time before my father in law got sick that year,
Yeah.
like right before LS Fest, and so I stayed home to be with my wife, help them, and you know, I think that was the first year you guys all met up there.
Hmm.
Right before that, they'd had a clearance sale, so I think I bought the prior year's shirt, planning to have one to wear when I went up there, and then ended up not going. And Steve, God bless him, he got me a T-shirt and sent it to me since I wasn't able to make it, so I've got that one.
Yeah.
And then last year bought a few of the shirts, so yeah, I've definitely got those. One of them's got a little hole in it, so that one's my
Yeah.
work on the car shirt now. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely
Yeah.
got a few of those.
Daniel actually reached out to me with the Silver Caprice that we met last year.
Yeah.
Asked me if I could pick up a event poster for him while I'm there this year.
Okay.
So I probably try to grab last year I remember I went over and I'm like, hey, told Steve, like, 'cause I ordered all my shit online ahead of time, went and picked it up. And I know Steve and all us rode over to go get our stuff last year. And I'm like, he's over there waiting in line to get shirts. I'm like, what a loser. But I walked over and I'm like, hey, there's a table over here with a bunch of these posters. And I picked up like 2 of them. I was like, hey, look at this, Steve. I got these posters. He's like, thanks a lot, asshole. You didn't get none for anybody else. We got a whole bunch of people over here. I'm like, all right. So I went back over and I picked up like a book of those things.
Yeah.
And I brought them back, and I think everybody took some. And I've still probably got 10 of those posters on my dresser in my bedroom. Eventually, I'd like to go through and maybe put up some in here on the outside of the wall out there. I just, when I get to it.
Now that you mention it, I don't know where ours got to. Like, Dad grabbed probably 5 or 6 of them. And I
Yeah.
never did hang them up. And now you've got me questioning where they're at. But one thing I will say about that, and I was a little skeptical when we got up there, was the option that, when you get there, they've got the big board with everything that you can order. And, like, you can place the order, and then they'll let you know when it's ready, and you go pick it up. And I was skeptical that it was going to really be doable, right, with so many people there and everything else. But they did a fantastic job, like, getting those orders pulled. Everything was right. I think a couple people were like, oh, this is missing. And I mean, they would drop it right in the bag for you. So I would suggest anybody that's doing that, like, check your bag before you walk off, because it's a lot easier for them to fix it for you right then and there. And also, that way they know you didn't just decide you were going to go back and say you didn't get something that you paid for. But
Right.
not that any folks that listen to our podcast would do that. But they do a great job for, if you want to get some of the T-shirts and hats and other things. And, like, I've got one of the die-cast cars sitting up there, and those are actually on
And
sale
really,
right
they're
now.
not that expensive.
No, I think it was like $7 or $8, maybe 10, and I was like, it's definitely worth it because it's got the year on it. But, well, correction, it doesn't have it just says Holly Ellis Fest. It doesn't say like Ellis Fest 20, but super cool car. But they're actually on the website right now on the overstock sale on Holly for $3.67 a piece.
Oh, yeah.
For anybody that didn't get one, they're in a nice package. I'll post a picture of it on the video. But those are on sale, and then I mean, there's quite a few stuff on Holly's site that's overstocked, and a lot of times you can find, the main reason I was looking, a lot of times you can find the T-shirts for a really good price after the fact. So
Yeah, I know. And I know I keep an eye on my email, but usually within the next couple weeks, like usually 2 or 3 weeks before LS Fest, they'll send out an email to those that have registered of you can pre-order merch, and that's what I've done the last 2 years.
Mm.
I just get on the website and spend a whole bunch of money, and and then all I have to do is just go up there to the tent and pick up my stuff. Tell them, say, hey, this is my name. I did an online order, and they'll
Oh,
just,
okay.
you know, yeah, that's what I've done the last couple of years.
So you were able to pick it up
So
on like Friday?
yeah, oh yeah,
Okay. Because I mean
yeah,
that was the thing is like Saturday was insane, right?
yeah,
But which
yeah.
we walked up there on Saturday. We ordered our stuff. Me and Dad went back over there and hung out with you guys for a bit. And I mean maybe it was a couple hours, but like there's plenty of stuff to do for 2, 3, 4 hours and stay busy. And then it's like, oh, I get an email, my stuff's ready. I walked over there and picked it up, and that was really great. Like I said, a lot of kudos to them for making that possible. And so now that I know I can order it ahead of time,
Yeah,
I
just
will
you got to
probably be
keep an
doing
eye
that.
out
Yeah.
for the email. But yeah, they should probably within the next couple of weeks they'll drop a link, and you can pre-order everything and pick it all up there at the site. Like I said, that's what I've done the last 2 years.
So they've actually got again, if you go to their like they've got their big overstock sale, it's a big banner at the top of their website. They've got the red trucker hats that just say Holly LS Fest on the front, $9.45, which is a great price for a hat. The LS Fest sunglasses are $5. I mean, you're gonna pay a little bit of
Oh,
shipping, right? But if you wanted to order
uh,
some of this stuff to have it before LS Fest, they've got a ton of stuff already on sale.
so are they the heat wave sunglasses?
No, these are the
The
just the
basic
basic
ones?
ones that they sell there.
Yeah. So I tell you what, I bought the heat wave Holly sunglasses the first year that I went. They have the orange polarized
Mhm.
on them, and I love those things. They are my favorite sunglasses.
So,
And last summer my dog chewed them up. Oh, I was so pissed.
oh no,
And so I was able to get on Holly's website and reorder another pair though.
yeah. Man, they've got so much stuff on sale. So the shirts from last year, the 2023 LS Fest. Well, these are the LS Fest West shirts. Let's see if I can find the East ones. But I mean, they're $9.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you miss out, and you want to get some of this stuff, they end up selling it pretty cheap. But I'm gonna be watching out for that pre-order so I can get the 2024 shirts when I get up there.
Yeah.
Speaking of the heat waves, I bought some years ago the Cletus McFarland package with the straw hat. I love a good straw hat, especially like working in the yards. That had the American flag on the front, but I got the bundle that came with the
Yeah.
Cletus heat waves.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I got to tell you, I love them. They're great glasses. But the fact that it's all like lens on the front, and I don't know why when I take them off and like would put them on my hat when I walked in a store or something, these I've had the hardest time with them just like falling off my head if I lean over or happen to look at something, and they're all scratched up. But
Yeah. You can replace the lenses.
well, but I mean, and you can still see through them just fine. Like I don't even notice that they're scratched, other than when you see them, out in the sun, you can kind of tell they're scratched. But these are pretty sweet. I mean, I definitely
So I've got a pair just like that, but mine are the all black ones.
mm-hmm.
And so it's got the Cletus logo on the side, but it's just kind of like a ghost effect since they're all black.
Yeah.
And I wore them for a long time until I got my ones from LS Fest. They look more like, I don't know what the style of glasses is called. They look more like just like the smaller plastic. I don't have them out here. We can put a picture up of them, but they're a different design and they've got a frame around them. These are polarized, and I really like those a lot better. They're smaller. What I don't like about my all black heat waves that I have like yours is they remind me of those big glasses that old people put on when they come out of the eye doctor.
Yeah.
And like I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God. And like I'll see myself like in a security camera somewhere. I'm like, I look like I'm an old dude walking around with these big blinders on.
Yeah, like you just had your eyes dilated or whatever.
Yeah. And
Mm.
but like anytime I have gone and done that, I'll take them with me because they block out so much light. But yeah, you can get on Heatwave's website and you can order just new lenses because there's screws in the backside. You take them out and you can swap the lenses out.
Oh, I see that. Okay.
Mhm.
I might have to do that because, like I said, I mean, I like the frames. I like the way they fit. I'm usually not a full lens all the way across the front kind of guy.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not either.
my favorite glasses, and I've had these for my Costas. I've had for 13 years at this point. I've been through two
Oh wow.
warranty replacements. They're lifetime warranties. Like the rubber started to go. I can honestly say, Costas were the thing that taught me that sometimes you buy something for quality and you buy it for life, and you get something good, and then it's a company that backs their product up and takes care of you. And like
Right.
these have been awesome. So this
Right.
is more my style usually, but I got these on a whim, and I definitely like them. And the larger lenses, they block out a lot of sun.
Okay, they work well. Like I said, I like the styling of the other ones that I have a little bit better, but I have them in my vehicles and just rotate them in and out depending on because I normally wear my glasses and these are auto darkening, but in the vehicle they won't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if I wear my contacts, my eyes are very super light sensitive, so I have to make sure I keep sunglasses with me at all times.
Yeah. I'll have to. I'll post a picture of them. It looks like they're not available on Holly's site right now, so I don't know if it was a limited run thing. It says discontinued product when you pull them up on their website. So hopefully they'll have
You might
something
be able
back this year.
you might be able to pull them up on Heatwave's website, honestly.
Yeah, I've got them pulled up on there. I don't think you can order
Oh,
them.
okay.
They just like they
Oh, okay.
showcase them, but
Yeah,
they don't have them available for order. But I do like that design a little bit better than the full.
yeah.
I like the
They're a
frame
little
around the lens.
they're a little bit smaller, and then on the side it's got like a bunch of holly print, like a sticker bomb on the sides.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come with the little bag, and like the Cletus ones had a little American flag bag. At least mine did, but these are like a sticker bomb bag. It's got all like stickers you would get with like Holly products or whatever.
Yeah, mine came with a little bag too, but yeah, man, all kind of cool stuff on their website. The windshield decals that are the red, white, and blue, the American flag ones, they've got them on here for $5.25. So all kind of cool stuff in the clearance sale from Holly. But like I said, I'm gonna be keeping an eye out for the pre-order for the new stuff. Well, cool. Well,
Uh,
speaking of getting ready for LS Fest, man, that's what we were going to talk about is kind of what type of prep are you having to do as a Grand Champion participant this year? What's on your list to get taken care of?
so uh honestly, I don't plan on going in and winning anything. I just want basically I won the drag race last year was kind of a bust for me, having some issues with the car. But I definitely wanted to autocross a little bit just to change it up. I'm sure it's going to be a lot autocrossing this heavy pig, probably dragging the mirrors on the ground, coming around turns. But really, all I'm going to do. So last year I put like brake pads on it. It's still got the stock PPV style brakes. I'd like to put some four piston Brembos off of a fifth gen Camaro on it eventually. No, really, all I'm going to do is just like fluid changes. I really want to do another trans and filter, trans fluid and filter swap, but I may not do that. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm probably going to drain the diff, and I know I'm doing an oil change, and I'm having issues with the wiring harness still. If anybody, we've talked about it some, but those cars, they idle when they were, police units. The big thing with them was idle hours. You figure those cars sit around and idle for sometimes for days,
Mm-hmm.
and all that underhood heat, it just bakes anything plastic and rubber in the engine bay. So I've had a whole lot of wiring connectors that have just fallen apart since I've had the car that I've had to replace. After the first time I went to LS Fest in 2022, the starter was really weak, and we got home and I dynoed it at a local dyno, and we went to get off the dyno and the car almost didn't start. It just like clicked. I was like, uh oh. And I kept hitting it, and once it finally started, it was like whoa, 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 and it fired up. And that's just I've got videos of it. We could put one up on here just on the slow crank that it had.
Yeah.
But I went and put a new starter in it. I got it all in, went to fire the car up, and it had all sorts of codes, and the shit was flashing on the dash, and it was shaking. So I hooked up my laptop. It was like crank sensor. I'm like, man, I must have bumped the crank sensor with the starter when I put it back. So I went back underneath there and dropped the starter back out, and then I got to investigating. And so like the where the harness splits off and goes to the trans runs right through there. Oxygen sensors split off from right there. The crank sensor, knock sensors, oil level sensor, and it might have been something else. And then like the wiring for the starter all come out in this one little bundle. All that shit was baked. All the plastic was falling off of it. There was bare wires that were starting to turn green. Some of them were like intertwined with each other and all smashed up. So laying under the car, I repaired what I could, but there was not enough room. So that kind of started the while I'm in there type of thing. I had to pull the passenger side exhaust manifold and catalytic converters off, so that way I could get to everything a little better. So then I'm like, that shit's coming off. It's getting headers. So that,
Of
me
course.
fixing some wire, yeah, me fixing some wires, started a whole like $700 header install. But I repaired the wiring, and then last summer when I had the engine out, I kind of went back through that area of the harness and double checked stuff, made sure everything was all right. Well, now I'm starting to have intermittent issues where the car will be fine for like days or weeks and have no zero issues. And then randomly I'll be riding along and I'll feel it kind of whoop and kind of like stumble. And then sometimes it's
Hmm.
fine and never does it again, never does anything else stupid. Sometimes it does that. And then a few minutes later or right then, it'll come up and it'll say service traction control, service stability control. And then it'll start running really, really rough. And it'll start backfiring and popping out the exhaust really bad. Once I go and stop and shut the car off, like I've taken my son to school in the mornings, and then I go back to get in the car and I go to crank it, and it's just, I'm like, oh shit. And then it'll fire up.
Yeah.
And then I'll drive to work and it'll be popping and missing and carrying on. And then I'll go to work all day, come back out, fire it up, and the car runs perfect. But then it has a check engine light. And I'm like, are you serious? I'll drive for a day or two with just the light on, or I'll turn it off with HP tuners, and then it might drive a week and not do it again. And it'll just randomly do it at different times. It doesn't matter the weather or anything. What I'm going to try to do, I'm going to do the oil change, and I do have to loosen up my X pipe because it's got slip fit connections to the headers. After a while, the whole exhaust slides backwards towards the back of the car. I mean, I don't know if it's maybe I'm flooring it too much, but
No such thing.
uh, but then what happens is the mufflers in the back will start vibrating against the hangers. Then that can cause some extra vibration to the car. Could be some false mechanical knock. That could have
Yeah.
been some of one of my issues I was having last year. So the last time, what I really need to do is weld V bands on. I'm just procrastinating because it's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah. It's too
But
hot.
yeah, probably what I'm going to do, like what I did the last time I changed the oil, is I took a ratchet strap and wrapped it around the X pipe, and then hooked the front end up to the K member and just loosened up those band clamps, and then just ratcheted the whole exhaust forward, and then hammered those bolts back home for the band clamps, and it did good for like another 6 months, and then after a while it starts doing it again. But no, the harness issue, I do have the original sensor in a box for the crank sensor, but what I'm going to try to do instead of trying to get underneath there and drop the header off and all that mess again is some of the guys on some of the Caprice groups have said that they've gone through and you unhook the harness down by the back of the trans, and then you just work your way up on the passenger side of the motor, unplugging shit, and then you can kind of pull the whole harness up on top of the engine and kind of work on it up there instead of laying under the car,
Yeah.
like laying, trying to fix shit like that. And that's where I was doing it before, was, sitting on ramps in the driveway, given I had all the exhaust off of it, but it's still not a lot of room to work with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But other than that, like the car needs a really good deep clean. I want to pack all my shit, my tools that I want to bring. It's not going to be much, but I mean, like I got a cigarette lighter, air pump, just a basic, socket set, probably adjustable wrench, vice grips, zip ties, you know.
Gotta have zip ties.
Oh yeah. And like honestly, the last 2 years, I'm glad I brought the first year, but the last 2 years I brought a queen size air mattress with me and an air pump. So that way if something happens. So the first year that I went, I roomed with a local friend of mine. Well, actually two local friends of mine. They got there way before I did because they got there like earlier that morning, and I didn't leave till after I got off work that evening. So I got there at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So it was just a normal hotel room with two beds. So I brought my air mattress. He's like, man, they don't have any more cots or anything. We asked. Said I brought an air mattress. He's like, you did? He's like, I thought. He's like, we talked about it, and I told you not to bring it. I was like, I brought it anyway, just in case.
Yep. What's
So
the harm?
it worked out. I mean, the trunk. I mean, we could lay down in the trunk next to each other, so it's not like I'm losing much room.
Not that we would do that.
No. I mean, other than that, like I said, basic fluid, nut and bolts, check. Try to fix that harness issue because I really don't want to risk driving the 10 hours or whatever one way, and I might get into a spell where it acts up. and then I had to sit there a while for it to stop acting up.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to have to do that. Or like if I go to race and I need it to work great then and it doesn't want to work great, I don't want to have to deal with that either.
Well, it's interesting. There was a similar issue my granddad had with I think his is a 2013, regular cab short bed Silverado with 4.8 in it. It's got
Hmm.
aftermarket wheels on it. Had them when he bought it, but he started having that where he said it would just shift really rough and want to buck with him, and it was showing like stability track, traction
Hmm.
control, everything would flash on the dash. And I want to say he said sometimes he would get like, say he was at the grocery store and it didn't want to crank for him. Ended up being either ABS sensor or wheel speed sensors or something that was causing
And
those
see,
those errors.
I wondered that too, because I think that's an issue with these cars also. That might be something I have to look more into. And maybe I'm off. Maybe it's not what I'm dealing with now. But yeah, that's the biggest issue with this car is it's just they get idle a lot. And so there's a lot of dumb maintenance you got to do. Like I've had hoses bust on it that were just like the hoses were either brittle or gummy and just split, got holes in them. And then a bunch of the harness is just falling apart. Like
Yeah.
the harness on my 2000 Suburban is like nice and soft and malleable and looks great. The harness on this car is not that good. And it's a 2013.
I was going to ask you what year. I'm like on Rock Auto, they've got ABS wheel speed sensors, $32
Mhm.
each. If it ended up being that, or you could narrow it down to that. There's
Yeah.
one, the Ultra Power brand ones. Those are only $13. Maybe
No,
that's
I
all
mean,
it is.
really, yeah, I don't know. I mean, but really, that's all I've got to do is just to kind of try to figure out that issue. So the other day I did, so the battery's in the back of that car. When I got it, I started having a weird issue, something else. I had the issue with the alternator. One of the studs on the battery, it's like it was wore down. So I had to get those lead sleeves for it. I don't know if you've ever seen them. All it is like a sleeve. It slips over top of the battery post to make it bigger, so my terminal could grip onto it. I was in the trunk the other day and I had to look over, and the positive one, like the ring is like at the very top of the stud, getting ready to fall off. I'm like, how is this car even working right now?
Hmm.
I'm like, I'll mess with it later, and I just remembered about it. So that's
So
kind of what happens with me.
Well, so Dad had, and it was the same. You'd get the stability track errors and all that, and his truck would act silly. And I kept telling him like it sounds like a ground. Like it really sounded like you
Yeah.
just had a bad ground. And he had just had a friend do. He had the driver's side motor mount go out several years ago, and I swapped it for him. We just unbolted I think we unbolted the trans mount, and then of course the motor mount we just jacked it up and we're able to kind of wiggle it out of there and put another one in. And I think the passenger side one went. A friend of his swapped it out for him, and I was like, there are some grounds, back in there, like not where the motor mount is, obviously, but that may have been in the way. Maybe he loosened to something, which turned out he didn't. But it was like, it just the way it's acting stupid. He'll be driving in the road, and all the lights will go to flash, and like his wasn't just those messages on the dash. Like it was, his
Right.
lights would flicker, his radio would go out. I was like, I think you've got a grounding issue somewhere. Well, one night we went out to eat and we were leaving, and he didn't make it out of the parking lot and it started doing it. And man, he pulled the truck over and jumped out of the damn thing. And I told my wife, I was like, uh oh. So I pulled over behind him and I was like, what's up? And he goes, it's doing it again. And we popped the hood and I said, let's just check the grounds. And he grabbed the negative battery terminal and it just come off.
Yeah.
We put it on there
And
and
see that,
tightened it on, and it's been fine ever since.
and honestly, that might be what I have going on. Because, like I said, I saw that the other day and I thought about it. I was like, I need to fix that. Maybe that's part of my issue. And I forgot all about it right
Yeah.
after I thought about that.
High Octane
But
Dads podcast, solving problems right here and right now.
yeah. But what was something else I did? So I had a lot of weird issues with my Trans Am right after I did the 6-speed swap, and it was doing crazy shit with the cluster, and like the gauges weren't working, and it ended up being a ground that I knocked loose that I didn't realize I knocked loose, and I fixed it, and then it was fine. So my '08 Sierra that I had, it was doing kind of that same thing that your dad's truck was doing, but it would randomly go into limp mode. It would come up and it would say it lost communication with the body control module, and I was like, oh great.
Yeah, that sounds
And I got
terrible.
Yeah. And I got to doing research on it, and apparently there was a plug somewhere that was really bad about getting condensation in it and they would corrode.
Mm-hmm.
And that's which honestly, I never fixed it because it only happened like maybe I had the truck 5 years, maybe less than a half dozen times.
Yeah.
But it always happened. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I'd limp it up the road in like second gear or whatever gear it was in. I'd pull off the side of the road, shut it off, and open the door, and do all that thing, and then fire it up and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's like, I got the SS Silverados '03, right? And I was just talking with my father-in-law because it's his truck, and um, you crank it up now and just try to move it around the yard, and I mean, it's just rough at idle. It shakes really bad if you try to give it any gas, and it's showing random misfire. And like me and you were talking about, fairly certain it's just old gas. It only had like maybe an eighth of a tank, so I put some AMSOIL like fuel treatment in it.
mhm.
I put about 3 gallons of premium in there. That's what I had in my gas can. I'm gonna go refill it. Uh, Refill the can a couple times, put about 10 gallons in it, some more fuel treatment, just let it run. And I think it'll be okay. But he was mentioning that it had done that on him a few times, just heading home. And he's like, all of a sudden it's in limp mode, just no
So
power.
excuse me, those trucks, I do know there's a bunch of grounds underneath the like driver's side
Mm-hmm.
there on the body or the frame. It's really easy to get to. They get corroded, and it's really easy just to clean them up and put them back on.
Yeah. We got a
Or take it
awesome,
out and flog the shit out of it.
yeah. Well, we got an awesome AMSOIL dealer locally. He and I have talked a couple times, and he reached out the other day and was like, hey, do you need anything? And I was like, actually, I
Yeah.
need to do a oil change on the Firebird anyway. So I said, can you get Wix filters? And he could. So I got some AMSOIL and Wix filters coming, and he was able to get me a fuel filter for the truck. So I got a new fuel filter coming, some more the fuel treatment, and yeah, I mean we're gonna try to get it right. Another thing he mentioned with it is that he would put it in reverse, and when you go to back it up, like it's either it wouldn't go into reverse or it was like really really rough trying to go into reverse. I don't know what the deal was. He said at one point like he just like couldn't back it out of this person's driveway at a job he was doing, and I don't know what that is. I'm gonna and I can't really test it till I get the truck going, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
I will say, because those have a 4L65,
mhm,
um, there's a plate. I'd have to pull up a picture of it, but there's a plate on the valve body. If it's loose at all, it will cause it to slip in reverse. Because when I had my '08, it had a 4L65, and I swapped in a transmission from an '09. Apparently, the '09 and 2010 4L60 65s, the valve body was different. '07, '08, they were the same. And it's like, I didn't know that till I got to looking into it, but they were like every 2 years they would update something and it would not be compatible.
mm,
So yeah, I put this '09 transmission in that '08 truck and it was not happy. It was in limp mode. And then I got doing research, found all that out. So I ordered a separator plate, and basically the transmission that I blew up and then just chucked out in the yard, I had to roll it so much back over. And I was out there in the mud in the rain and pulled the valve body out of it and cleaned it up and put that valve body in the other trans and got it all back together, and it was perfect. Other than I put it in reverse and it was like slipping in reverse. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I got doing research, and that one little plate. I remember I put the bolts in and I was torquing everything evenly. I missed those two. They were down finger tight, but so once it started putting pressure to it, it was just enough to make it let it go into reverse, but it would shudder.
yeah.
So I had to pull the pan all the way back off, drain fluid again. I think I had dropped the fluid out of that truck like 3 times in a week.
So that's kind
I
of
was
stuff that
not
would make
happy.
me, yeah, I would be
I
questioning
was
everything ever.
I was irate.
I bet. Yeah, so that's one of those things that he can't drive anymore, right? And so we were talking about what to do with the truck. He talked with my 15-year-old that one day, he would like for him to have that truck, and it's a bit much for him right now. Which we've got him the '03 with the 4.8 in it that I showed in another episode. So the plan is that he's going to drive it. I'm going to get this one going, and then when he's older and a bit more responsible, if he wants it, and he's into cars and will appreciate having a somewhat rare version of the Silverado, then I'll probably do some trading and I'll get the 4.8. He can have that one because I got to have something to pull my car with, and I'm really just up in the air about selling my 2014 because what do I need two trucks for? But until I can get the SS right and know that I could put my car on the trailer and pull it, I kind of don't want
Yeah.
to sell the other one.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But then, then I also got the offer to trade for that 99 Z28 with the 5.7 and the 6 speed. And man, is that ever tempting? It's a pretty car. So,
Yeah.
so just general like maintenance or stuff before you go on a trip. I know for me, when we came last year, knowing that I was pulling my car, the first thing I did, I was going to go and get brake pads, but I went and added drilled and slotted rotors to the front of my 2014. They weren't that much more, and it needed rotors and pads anyway. But yeah, when it obviously oil change, check fluids, all that kind of stuff before we head out. But what other things are you doing just even with the Suburban like before a trip?
I mean, pretty much all that same stuff. I'll change all the fluids, check everything, make sure the brakes are all good, fill it up with gas.
That's a good one.
I mean, yeah.
Got to
I
get the
mean,
snacks, man. Got to make a
oh yeah,
snack run.
yeah. Always do that. So when I went my first year to LS Fest, like I said, I left late that evening. I was like, I'll drive a while and then stop somewhere and get food. Well, when I decided to stop and get food was like in BFE, West Virginia, in the middle of the mountains. And like I had zero phone service and couldn't find out where shit was. And it was just awful. So last year I definitely picked up some stuff, some snacks to have on the road on the way, like some, beef jerky. I usually like sunflower seeds, pistachios, things like that.
We could go into a
But
45-minute rant about the
oh yeah.
expense of beef jerky, so I won't go down that road.
Yeah.
Um,
But I mean, yeah, just basic stuff like combos. I like combos.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, stuff with the cars, check over the fluids, tire pressures, look at the tires, make sure you don't have any issues in it. So a guy at work, I don't know if I sent you the picture. Got out of work at work yesterday, and I kept hearing like air hissing. And I'm like, what is that noise? And so like I always leave my vehicles running. I'll get to work. I'll walk to the back and I change my shoes. I have to wear work boots, and I keep them in my cars in a plastic tote. So I'm standing there at the back of my Suburban. I kept hearing this hissing noise. And well, so the Suburban's got long tube headers and a 4-inch exhaust. They're stainless steel, so they have a little bit of a sound transfer you through the header tubes
mm.
that you can hear. And I'm like, I walk around next to it and I shut it off. I'm like, well, that's not it. Well, the guy that was parked across from me had a '08 or '09 2500 Silverado, and it had a bolt in the tire.
Oh, you did send me a
Like,
picture of that, like a
yeah, like the
a
head of
bolt.
the bolt was, yeah, like the head of the bolt was like as big as my thumb, and he pulled it out at the end of the day, and the bolt was like that long. I mean, it
Jeez,
was like yeah. He's like, I have no idea where I found that, where I picked that up at, but like I took a picture of it, and then like halfway through the day, I remembered about it, and I went up to him, I'm like, hey, you got a bolt in your tire? He's like, what? It's like I said, I texted you. I said, but I figured I'd just walk up here and find you and tell you. He was like, shit. So he was like, sent him the picture, and he was like, oh, I'll just put a plug in it this evening. And he was out there messing with it when I was leaving work, and he was like, yeah, that ain't taking a plug. I guess I'll have to figure something else out. So I'm
Jesus.
not sure what he did. I didn't see him today, so I'll have to try to find out what he did.
Yeah, my
But
guess is
that's
bought
one
a
thing.
tire based on the picture that I
Yeah.
seen.
But so that's one thing I do carry with me is like when I go on trips, I'll take like I said, I got the little cigarette lighter air pump. I'll bring a jump pack. I've got jumper cables I'll bring, especially like on a trip, I got all my vehicles are older. I'll bring like toolkit. So this past year when I went to the beach and I had that whole debacle with my back glass, I didn't bring any tools
The
this
one
year.
time you don't.
Yeah. So I ended up going to Home Depot and I bought like a $40 toolkit with sockets and stuff like that. So that's supposed to stay in the vehicles, which I'm sure eventually end up in the garage and shit just thrown everywhere. 'Cause just that's how it works.
Right.
But no, I'll have that. I do carry tire plugs, things like that. And that's not something I ever used to ever really carry until I got a little older. And I'm like, you go to a tire shop and they charge you like $50 to plug a tire when you can buy a kit for like $2.
Yeah.
And as long as you have a way to put air in a tire, if you're on the side of the road or whatever,
Well, you make me thankful for my shop. I think they charged me 20 when my son's tire
well,
had a nail in it. But
and
yeah, I get it.
it might be funny.
Still a lot more than
And
$2 or $3 if you got the know how and a
right.
way to inflate it. for
Yeah.
sure. Well,
Oh yeah.
and like those jump packs, man. We don't have to go like down a whole rabbit hole, but we probably could, keep make a list for everybody of like things that are great to keep in your car for, situations. But like my daughter's car, I talked last week. I think it was last week about how we put several alternators on her car, right? Because we just kept getting alternators that were burning up like out of the
Mm-hmm.
box. And finally put a Bosch one on there, and it's been good. So, it wasn't anything with the car; it was just a run of bad alternators. But anyway,
Yeah.
I was, my 16-year-old daughter, I'm able to show her this jump pack. And like, if you get stuck somewhere, like, plug this in, put these on the terminals, press this button, and then go crank your car. And those things are amazing versus trying to find somebody in a parking lot willing to
Yeah.
let you, hook up the jumper cables and jump your car off. And
Yeah. So I bought I had one from Harbor Freight for years and it worked great, but I kind of abused it when I had my 69 C10 trying to get it running, and then I had some old junk ass batteries on it and I kept using that thing trying to jump it. And there was many times I'd use it and that thing would be over there going beep and screaming at me and I'm like, too bad, buddy. And so I'd have like all this shit hooked up. Now that thing really like you could plug it up to charge, it'll sit there and show it's charging for like 3 days. So I
yeah.
don't think it's any good anymore.
Yeah, they definitely do go
The,
bad, but I mean, if you can catch them on
yeah,
sale for like 50, $60. If it saves you being
right.
stranded 3 or 4 times.
Oh yeah. Well, so the one that I have now, Matt actually had gotten, and it was a small one, like it's like a little rectangle box,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got its own little case. I ordered it off Amazon. I think it was like 40 or $50, and I used it like I had it like a month. I used it a couple times, and then it kind of did the same thing, and it just quit working. So I emailed the company, and it was like I said, a couple months after I had it, and I'm like, look, this thing's junk. Like I would plug it up and it would sit there and just keep blinking and it would show that it was charging and then it would show that it had whatever battery level and you unplug it and you do all the stuff and it wouldn't do anything. And all they asked was videos and pictures of me trying to get it to work. And they sent me a whole nother one and it came in like 2 days.
Oh yeah,
So I've used this other one multiple times, honestly, because the Trans Am's got a bad battery in it right now and I'm too cheap to buy a battery for something I'm not driving. So I just every time I move it, I go and jump start it.
yeah,
And that thing's great because it's small, and I'll just pop the hood enough to like reach that thing in and hook it up, and it's just like a long rectangle battery bank, and you can hook up your phone to it and charge it,
yeah,
and you just push the little button, turn it on, and it works.
yeah. The one I'm using now, we had bought it for Dad for Christmas, and I'm looking at it, it's like Next Pow or something. It's probably one
Yeah,
of these
that's the one I
knockoff.
got.
Yeah, I mean,
I,
they're on sale for $50 on Amazon. Now it says it ends in 5 hours. So by the time this is out to anybody, but yeah, they're regular $80. It's on sale for 50, and then there's another 10% off coupon. So for the next 5 hours,
honestly,
all in group.
when I bought mine, I think I paid $50 for it or
Yeah,
around there, and I bought it last summer. Yeah, bought it last summer. I've used it, and that's the exact same one that I have. It's got like a black case and with a red zipper. I don't know if you've used it or not, but
yep.
and the
Oh yeah,
battery pack itself is gray. Yeah.
yeah. And I'll tell you, speaking of that, and I'm an Amazon like affiliate, right? So I've got a link that if people purchase something through one of the links, like there's a teeny tiny commission or whatever. It doesn't make the product cost anymore, but so maybe they'll revoke it for saying this, but like when they have these prime deals and all these flash deals and everything, a lot of times the MSRP price has been up to a level that it never was before, and the price that you're seeing as the flash deal realistically is the price that it just is, right?
Mhm.
Normally, and there's some add-ons that you can get like for Chrome and stuff. It's called like Keepa or something like that. I haven't used it, but it'll show you the pricing of products over the last 90 days or year, and so is it really a sale price? It's kind of like all those
Well,
Black Friday deals you get. Those TVs that you're buying or the crappy TVs, they haven't been able to get rid of any other way, and so now they're going to sell it to you for $150, and you feel like you got
mhm.
a steal. You know?
Yep. Oh yeah, and honestly, this past year when that day the Optimus Prime Day was going on, uh, I got on there and looked. My wife was telling me about stuff, and I'm like, I don't really see anything I gotta have that's anything great. So I'm like, I never bought anything just because I like everything I see I could pick up locally for the same price or cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe a couple dollars more. And if I have an issue with it, I'll take it back. But that don't mean I don't buy shit off Amazon almost every week. because that
Yeah.
happens.
Oh yeah. I mean, it absolutely depends on what it is. So, I've
Oh, yeah.
said before, this is where we'll lose a few listeners, but like for me, I'm a big nerd guy. Everything from like collectible card games that I play with my son to board games, Dungeons and Dragons, whatever it is. Like we've got a local shop that does all that stuff. I'm always going to spend a little bit more, and I'm going to support that local business. I know the owner. Same thing with the Amsoil stuff, right? Like the Wix filters that I got, the fuel filter. Like if they're $1 or so, more or less than what I can get it on Amazon, I'll buy it through him because he's a guy supporting his family. You know,
Right.
I always try to support local businesses where I can, but on a commodity item like when I buy my protein powder and stuff like that, and it's like, oh yeah, it's $10 cheaper than GNC or Vitamin Shop. Like that's just buying from one big company over another.
Oh,
I'll
it
buy
is.
from them every time.
Yeah.
You got to save where you can these days.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, the cool thing about LS Fest this year is my prep is make sure I got plenty of memory cards, pack the camera bag, get all the batteries
Better.
charged.
Yeah.
I think I am going to buy a couple extra batteries. We're getting about due for the one in the camera running out of dime. We'd have to change it again. But I wish I would have my car there. And if I end up trading for that Camaro, I may drive it up there. But I imagine what I'm going to end up doing in the mornings is ride into the track with you because I don't think they're allowing
Yeah.
any like crew cars or anything like that.
Oh, no.
In like with the folks that they're with.
Right.
So I don't want to be parked clear across in the spectator and have to lug my gear and everything all the way, down to the pits and all. So I'll probably ride in
So,
with one of you guys. So do I really want to drive something really nice to leave it sitting in the hotel parking lot all day?
right. My thought
Oh,
is,
there it went. Look at my
yeah.
face. I might leave this in there just because, good Lord, that is a face only a mother could love. All right,
Yeah.
hold on. I'm gonna get me another battery. Hold tight. All right, camera batteries replaced, and we're back. So yeah, well, like I was saying, I'm just gonna get all my camera gear. I'm actually, while not having my car stinks, I am excited about being able to really focus on the photography and video this year. I want to get some great shots of Steve's car, your car, John Ryan. Last year I was able to get one of him in the staging lanes, and it's a great photo. I don't usually brag on my work, but I really liked how that photo turned out. I sent that over to him, got one of Bill on track, and so, but I didn't get one of John's car going down the track, and so I think he calls it the bruised banana, that black and or well, it's a yellow Camaro with black stripes.
Yeah.
So I want to get one of him racing this year, and then a lot with the drifting. So I'm very excited to be able to focus on that, and yeah, I'm just gonna.
I'm excited for if you get any some autocross pictures.
Yeah, I
Uh
have a few, and I'll post them up. But I've got some of like there was a OBS that was out there, and I think they're like it said like OBS Racing or something like that. I'll have to or OBS Silverado Racing. I'm forgetting what it is, so forgive me guys, but I'll post a link to it because they've got a lot of great stuff. And since I'm building an OBS, like there's a part of me that goes, I'm building this truck to be a daily. Like I want it to have heat and air and all that. And then I see a really cool OBS doing like autocross and road track racing, and it's like, but that would be really cool. And there's
what about that converter we talked about you putting in
yeah.
it?
And that's the thing, like when I see a deal like that where it's like, oh man, I can get this big upgrade for the race car that then also lets me transfer some of the good parts that are on it to this other build. Car guy math says, yeah, that new transmission's $4,500, but I would have spent $2,000 on the okay one I would have put in the truck. So I'm saving that $2,000. So the new transmission really only cost me $2,500,
Yeah.
right? That's how I'm gonna sell it to my wife anyway. So we'll see. Yeah, you had something. You said you were pretty eager to talk about.
Yeah, so I'm really into like conspiracy theories and theories about all sorts of different things in life. So actually local friend of mine and owner of the gym that I was going to there for quite a while, he put up something today on Facebook and he was talking about doing I can't remember what he called it, like a mastermind meeting or something.
Okay, we've
Basically,
got one locally with some like business owners and
okay.
stuff. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and like he was saying, that it was great to be able to talk with people that, have a similar mindset on what he's looking to be. And he met with a lot of people that are where he wants to be, like in far as in life and in business, whatever.
Yeah.
And so then that kind of comes down to, like he brought it up, and I thought about it before, but I've never really known what it was called. So then I've been doing a little bit of research in it today. But social influence theory. I don't know if you ever looked into it. So social influence theory is a theory of psychologically that talks about how people are more likely to do whatever they see as being the norm. It states that people have a tendency to change their behavior according to those around them, and those nearby have a stronger effects than those farther away. So it's kind of what they say about like your atmosphere will change a lot of how you are.
Hmm.
And so then it got me thinking about like different things in my life and like let's say work. And like I was telling my wife, got stuff going on and I'm like everybody's pissed off and in a bad mood. And I'm like, it's just everybody's feeding off each other. You might come in and not have a bad day, but you just in there or around people that are dragging you down. And they not make, and I'm not saying that these people are bad people or anybody's dragging anybody down.
Sure.
Just anything in life. But or you hang around, like if there's something you're striving to be or striving to do, like if you want to learn more about race cars, you hang out with more race car people. The other thing was like in business, I mean, you hang out with people, you learn from them. For a lot of things in life, I found a lot of it's who you know. And it's not doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, people get into things that they have no business being in, like as far as like job titles and things of that nature. But it's definitely that little bit of that social conformity there. Being around people that will help you get to where you want to be it anything, fitness. You want to get a positive mindset. Hang around those that aren't always bitching. People and friends of mine that regardless of what we're doing, where we are, they're going to bring up something negative that's always going on and constantly talk about it. It's like, all right,
Yeah. You got to break the
I'm a
cycle of that. And,
yeah,
I forget the exact statement. It's something that, if you show me, your five closest friends and I can tell you a lot about who you are or something along those lines. And I know I just butchered that, but there's a lot to unpack in what you said. But the truth of it is
yeah,
that you,
oh
you
yeah,
end up in this feedback loop. And if you surround yourself with negative people, you're going to be negative about a lot of things. And whether you're talking about politics or work or whatever that is, you want to be surrounded by people who build you up. And if they're constantly complaining about everything, even if they're successful people, they're not helping to build you up. They're not helping to give you the right frame of mind. And what's crazy is that now your social circle used to be people that were local to you.
hmm,
But think about how social media has changed that.
oh yeah,
Like,
drastically.
yeah, I mean, so for me, I've got not a lot of local friends that do anything with cars. And if I'm not chatting with you guys in the group chat very much, or talking with you and Steve or Matt about project car plans and things like that, sometimes I might go a long time and never even touch one of my projects because everybody around me is doing different things.
Right.
And when it came to us doing this podcast or me doing any of my side work with social media and websites and things like that, surrounding myself with other entrepreneurs and people who wanted to work for themselves or have been there and walked the path that I'm trying to walk has been huge.
Oh yeah.
Um, and it's interesting because I really want to get back onto my projects because they're sort of one of those. It's a sensitive subject of like they're right there. I can work on them at any time. But like I mentioned to you earlier, a lot of times I get done with work. I don't have a strenuous job working in IT, but I get done and mentally like I'm checked out. I'm done.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
physically, I've got all the energy in the world to go out there and like organize the garage and get started on, get the car up on the jack stands or build the cribs that I've been wanting to build and all this stuff. And mentally, like I don't have it, to get out there and even think it through. And I was talking with a couple local guys that are, into cars. The guy that's got the TH400 for sale, we were chatting and, him and another one of the guys that we convoyed with LS Fest have told me like, come hang out on the weekend. Like,
Yeah.
anytime you want to come by, you're welcome to come, wrench with us and hang out. And that's been, I haven't done it yet, because I mean, it's only been recently that we've talked about it, but like they knew Dad, right? And so, they kind of understand what I'm going through, and they all, we all
Yeah.
grew up around here. But I think surrounding myself with more people that are into cars is going to help me get back on track with things. But that's why I say there's a lot to
It will.
unpack with what you said, because it doesn't matter what you're doing or trying to do, you've got to surround yourself with the right people. I'd love to get connected with some other folks that are, doing podcasts and, and talk about kind of like what you're talking about with the mastermind groups. They get together as
Mhm.
local entrepreneurs and they talk about what are your goals that you're trying to achieve. They're going to talk about what their goals are they're trying to achieve. You'll talk about what are the challenges you're facing, because likely if you've got a decent group, somebody has faced those challenges.
Yeah, and some of these other people might have the tools that they can, lend you or show you what you need to do to get to where you're trying to get to, or at least get you in the correct direction.
And like, so for me, over a decade into my IT career, there's nothing that I like more than when somebody comes to me
Hmm.
and it's like, hey, I'm struggling with this. I'm not sure what my next step needs to be. And I can, I'm not going to tell you where to go or what to do. And often, like, I don't have the magic answer or the silver bullet that's going to be exactly what you need, but I can help get you on the right path because I've probably seen it, or, one of the people that's worked for me has seen it. And I love helping people in that regard. And, if we ever get to a place where we've been doing this podcast thing for a while and I can help somebody else get started, like there's room at the table for everybody to eat, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's that's just a mindset that I've always had. And, along in that vein, like with the mastermind meetings or whatever it is, find a group pushes you to succeed and holds you accountable. If it's fitness, right? Find people who are going to, check in on you. Did you go to the gym this week? What'd you do? Did you hit that goal? Did you get that deadlift you're working for? Hey, is your form good? I know when I started, I didn't know anything about deadlifting. And the times that I was working out on my lunch breaks or early in the morning, nobody was there with me. I would send you a video of like, how's this deadlift look? And you'd be like, you're going to break your back. Stop doing that. Straighten your back out. I needed that honest feedback. And
Yeah.
the truth is, if you ever find that, I forget who told me this, but, and I'm sure it's a famous quote that somebody else reread to me, but if you ever find that you're the smartest guy in the room, find
Mhm.
another room,
Oh yeah. Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like, I don't ever want to be the smartest guy in the room when it comes to, I mean, even in my career, if I'm the
Oh yeah.
smartest guy in the room, I mean, I'll tell you everything I know, but then I need to go find somebody that I can learn something from.
Right. And so I learned that maybe not necessarily as far as like that, but a different level of it. So like when I was in high school, I did a lot of sport. Oh, I did sports as a kid and I ran track. A couple years in, I'm like, I'm not really progressing. Given, I was young and I was just new into the sport and I hated running, but I actually didn't do too bad at it. But I found that if I trained with somebody that was slightly faster or slightly stronger than me, not like to the point where they're just going to bust your ass every time you go out there. But if you go out there and you're training with them and forces you to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to where you have to work harder, you're going to get where you want to be way better, way sooner, like you said, than just if you're the top dog.
Yeah.
You know, somebody's always going to, strive to do better and they're going to try to do what the next best person's doing. You don't want to necessarily get with somebody like, hey man, you're going to hang out with this, a theoretical physicist or something because I'm going to be like, holy shit. But I mean, let's say people that like might be in our circle, but at a different level of whatever we're trying to, achieve. And I mean, there's a lot to learn there. And like at the gym,
Yeah. Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
and like take it back to racing, right? If I took my 12-second car and I was hanging out with who would I think it'd be cool to hang out with? Farm truck and Asian, right? Those guys would be great to hang out with, but it's
yeah,
not going to motivate me to go work on my piece of junk.
yeah,
Not with what these guys are running, right? There's a level that
right,
like I'm way out of my league.
right,
But so you want to surround yourself with people that are walking the journey that you're walking. I'm not gonna say you couldn't get anything positive out of it, but
It's all a mindset. Anything you're going to do in life, and you just surround yourself with people that will help promote you to do what you're trying to do versus everybody that's tearing you down.
yeah,
And I couldn't tell you how many people that told me years ago when I started my LS swap, why don't you just buy a crate 350 and put in it? That'll be better. Da, 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 da. Oh, you'll never get that thing running and da 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 da. Da. And I'm like, maybe that's why part of some of the reason it took me longer. Maybe that's part of the reason I got it going because I'm gonna get it right, get it going.
yeah.
And then I kind of got that Freiburger mentality where chase is the best part of it, and then once I get there, I'm like, I'll get to it eventually.
Oh yeah,
But I mean, it's still, I mean, you got to put yourself in situations where if you're unhappy with something all the time and you're just going to stay unhappy, you're not going to progress and to get any better if you're just constantly dragged down by the same mentality you're trying to get away from.
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, mindset's huge. There was a guy at the gym that we got to talking last week, and we've not talked a lot. My wife works at the gym, and they know each other, and he come over and tapped me on the shoulder, and he asked would I help him with something. I was like, yeah, no problem. And so I go walking over there, and he says, don't worry, it's nothing difficult. He said, your wife's helped me with it before, and I was like, oh, okay. So I walked over, and he's at the plate loaded like shrug machine, and
Mhm.
it's maxed out, 45-pound plates, like menace to society kind of stuff. Like this guy is just jacked, right? Um,
Yeah.
and he's an older guy, retired, but doing great, and is definitely what I would aspire to be when I get 20, 30 years my senior, still in there lifting weights and stuff. But he's like, could you do me a favor and stand on that crossbar on the back to add some more weight to this? And he's sitting there
Yep.
doing shrug, and I was like, holy cow, man. And so,
Yep.
and I'm around 178, 180, something like that additional. He had on that
Yep.
plus, 6 or so plates on either side. I mean, crazy. But we were talking after that, and he said, somebody taught him this in high school that, every night before you go to bed, and you can believe this or not if you want to, but he told me, he said he fully believes in it. And it's something I really want to try to start doing is, every night before you go to bed, visualize what it is that you want to have out of life, right? The goal that you want to attain. And he was like, don't lay there and like envision yourself bench pressing 500 pounds if you can't do, 135, right? Like you got to be realistic, but visualize where you want to go and the steps it's going to take you to get there, and just think about those things and really visualize it, and then push yourself to get there. And eventually it becomes your reality. That if you think about it every night before you go to bed, you'll have that, discipline to get up and go execute. And that's the truth is everybody's like, oh, I don't have the motivation to go to the gym. And I'm guilty because I was just saying I don't have the motivation to get out there and work on the car, right? I'm just mentally, I'm drained at
Right.
the end of the day. But the truth is, like Steve and all the guys say, 15 minutes a day, right? If you will have the discipline to show
Mhm.
up and do the things that you need to do, like the motivation will follow. When you start making progress on that project, then you'll get motivated to get it done. But
Oh yeah.
that discipline to, drive yourself to the gym, go in there and like, even if it's a 30-minute, you only do a few different exercises and then you go home like you did something. Get out there and work on the car a little bit. Work a little bit on your side hustle if that's, what drives you or motivates you. It's important to just, show up and don't wait for motivation.
The hardest part of doing anything is starting it.
100%.
Once and there I couldn't tell you how many times there was times I'd go to the gym and I'm like, I really don't want to go today. I really should go. And I would go and then I'd feel great the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the evening. And or like I put off my Trans Am set out here for 2 years because I was changing the headers and the new ones fit different. And I'm like, I would do it later.
Mm-hmm.
And then it sat for 2 years with all the exhaust off of it just because I didn't, go mess with it. And then last year I was going to work on the Caprice, so I'm like, I need the garage, and I went out there and I sat on a Saturday and Sunday, probably 5 or 6 hours total between the 2 days, and I had the car running and driving.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this thing sat down for 2 years, and basically less than a work day, I have this thing ready to roll.
Oh yeah.
And it's just because I didn't have the mindset where I was ready to do it.
Dude, I literally have to like make a bracket for the catch can and torque the intake down.
Yeah.
And my car will crack
And
back up and drive out of the garage, and I just haven't done it.
yeah. And honestly, and there's a lot of factors that go into a lot of this stuff. And, what people have going on in their lives, personal lives, their work, whatever, that, can really put you into not wanting to do a lot of this stuff. And, I need to get better about it, about a lot of things. I really need to just say, "Okay, I'm going to go do it." And you usually feel way better. And I will say, I hate doing house projects, but I love doing house projects because when they're done, I'm like, I did that.
Yep.
I'm like, why did I put it off so long? It took no time to do. Yeah, I mean, that's just with anything. Surround yourself with the people that you want to be like, or they're going the direction that you wanted to go,
Oh yeah.
and that will help you greatly. And if you're stuck into a situation that is not ideal, find a way out of it. There's ways out of it.
And
I'm
talk
working
to
on
someone.
it. That's what I'm
Find
doing
find a buddy.
right now.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times for me, and I mean you or Steve or somebody might be that guy. Sometimes I need the kick in the rear,
Yep.
to say quit complaining and just go get it done. And then sometimes you just need to vent and then you move on. You're good. But
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
you got to talk to somebody and be around people that want to see you succeed
Yep.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Speaking of people that
It's a
want to
hard.
see us succeed, they should like and share our podcast with all of their friends.
Excuse me. Yes, we are on X now. We really haven't been posting a whole lot, but the Twitter, but it's out there.
So used to you would call it a retweet. Is it a Rex now? Like what? Like I
I
don't
have, I don't know.
I don't know what it
Well,
is.
I've never been on there until a month ago, so or whatever, a few weeks ago. It's all new to me. It'll pop up. I'll look at stuff. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Here's this week's episode. Go check it out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we definitely, I want to see us get, more active on the socials and we've talked about like it's a struggle with being a
We just got
dad
to
and
do it. We just got to do it.
yeah, didn't we just talk about this? Just got to make stuff happen. You want to put quality content out. Nobody wants to watch me like walk around the driveway and muse about some new project that I come up with, but maybe they do. I don't know. We need to
Maybe.
just, we'll start posting some stuff and see what happens.
Well, I mean, what's everybody think about these topics for today? I mean, I definitely think that, this, social influence theory has a lot to it. And I've personally felt it in different aspects of my life. I have a very diverse group of people that I know and that are into all sorts of different things. And depending on who you hang around for a while, definitely puts you in different mindsets and what you're looking to achieve.
For
I
sure.
strive everyone to, if you sit around in the house all the time and don't talk to people, I hate people. People suck. But I've also, just by going out and doing stuff, going to the gym, going to these cars and coffees, I always find somebody. I'm a talker too. And I'll stand there and talk to somebody for like an hour and a half straight in a parking lot. And people will be standing there waiting, just I've known forever to come up and say hi. And I'm like, and I'll keep on talking to dude or whoever I'm standing there talking to.
We don't have as many of the cars and coffees around here. We did have one. I mean, it's been like last year. Crystal and I went. I took the Firebird. She followed me up in the Durango because I think she had to show a house or something, and met a guy there that had one of the cleanest OBS Silverados I've seen with like 22 or 24-inch billet specialty wheels. It was white. It had fifth gen red leather Camaro seats in it, which had to have been a nightmare to make fit and work in that truck. But man, it was incredibly clean. He's, it was like slammed on the ground, airbags. He's big into the lower trucks and stuff. And oh man, but it was so clean. And so there I am in my Firebird, but I was like, I'm wanting to build an OBS. So naturally, he and I
You talk,
talked, and it's
yeah.
like next thing you know, we're friends on Facebook because got to keep in touch with this guy because the truck's so sweet. So, and turns out,
Oh yeah.
he's a great dude, and
Yeah. I've met a bunch of people, great people like that. And in my area, there really wasn't a lot of cars and coffees. And I want to say in the last year or two, there's been a bunch of them popping up. And a lot of the people that are setting them up are people that I've known for years through the local car scene, mostly Facebook groups or through other people But then now I'm like, well, these cars and coffees are popping up. I'm like, well, who the hell is setting these up? And apparently it's all these people that I've known forever. I'm like, hell yeah.
Right.
So pretty cool.
Well, and like for me to sit here and say, oh, there's no cars and coffees in my area, like how difficult is it to make up a few posts and say, hey, we're going to do a cars and coffee at this place, go clear it with the place and then like set it up and do it once a month. Like I shouldn't sit here and complain about there not being one when it wouldn't be that difficult to get one going.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit of logistics behind it. Like you said, getting with whatever business, figuring out the times that, that maybe, I mean, I don't know how they do it. If you want to find a time that they're slower, that way there's more parking. And then that way they could potentially have more business, but, people being there. I mean, typically the cars and coffees are in the mornings. Usually like 8, the ones I've been to have been like 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Usually I know some go longer than that. Seen a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Met a lot of cool people.
We got a new ish shopping center that's kind of opened up with like a drive-through and a walk-up like coffee thing, and it's at a gas station, decent parking lot. Depending on the turnout, there it might get kind of tight. So, but I don't know. Now you got the wheels spinning. I might be reaching out to them to see if they want to do like a cars and coffee on a Sunday morning.
It means you got to work on your car.
Never mind. Cars and coffee's canceled, guys.
Hey, if you did it right, hell, you could take a different cool car every weekend.
Yeah. Yep. I was, I don't know, man. I really, I want to get the SS Silverado up and running and get it a little bit of love. And
I think you just need to put a bunch of gas in it, check the fluids, go out and flog the shit out of it. And it might help it. Well, I definitely
hopefully not need to go in reverse.
Yeah. Don't get yourself in a corner. Just, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, good deal. We're showing an hour 25 right now. Of course, it'll edit down, but we've definitely we've talked about a good bit, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, mostly because we're talking about LS Fest. I mean, right at a month away, man. I was a little worried about going, without Dad, but
I think everybody needs the time away.
Yeah, dude, I'm so ready for it, just to have that, like you said, that time away from like work and focus on something that I'm passionate about. It's going to be
social influence.
Yeah. Coupled with race fuel and burnouts. What do you want?
Yeah.
So
it'd be a good time.
All right. Well, in the comments, if you're coming to LS Fest, let us know. In the Facebook group or page, we'll make a post about it. Show us what you're bringing to LS Fest. If you know somebody that's coming that doesn't follow the podcast, share it with them. It mean the world to us. Yeah. And can't wait to, we'll have some more episodes, but can't wait to see you guys there.
Yeah. I may end up trying to get some more stickers before we go. So if you see us and you know who we are, come up and say something. I'll give you a sticker.
Yeah, got a whole. I got some right here. I'm gonna bring some with me. But if we get some more, we've talked about changing the logo up. But Chris, I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I definitely like this logo. I've played around with some other ideas, and I just keep coming back to this one. So we might just stick with the classic. But we'll definitely have some more stickers up. Maybe we'll do some T-shirts and stuff too. It'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I don't know about maybe a complete redesign, but I would like to figure out a way to maybe incorporate a QR code or something.
Yeah.
That way it'll help us. If somebody wants to find out more what we are instead of just Googling us, they can click it and it'll take us to all of our socials. So that'll be great.
Yep.
That's what you keep us going with all that. You're the real MVP here.
No, man. Awesome. Well, we'll wrap it up there. That's it for episode 10. We're still going to get Ross on. I know Kevin's interested. Matt has expressed interest. So we've definitely got a lineup of people. I know we keep saying it, but it's just finding out the best way to get everybody together to do the recording. Maybe it makes sense just to have them hop in Discord just like this, and just we'll add a little box and I'll rearrange the layout. If everybody's happy with the quality, it's not terrible. And then a month from now, we'll be doing some live videos probably from the hotel pool.
Yeah, that'll be a good time.
That's going to be a lot of fun, man. I can't wait to be doing some videos. We'll have some that we obviously take just walking around, and we'll stitch it all together in like a full like YouTube video. But posting shorts and stuff of all the cool cars that are there. Like, there is no shortage of content.
All right, we're rambling.
We're going to hop off. All right, everybody have a good weekend after you watch this. Yeah, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz, and we'll see you in the next one.
See ya.
All right, have a good one, folks.